Fathers everywhere are celebrating today with their families, but for some, this will be a time marked by a sense of loss.
A single horrific car accident robbed Dr. Adam Mahomed of 3 beloved daughters, and this is his story.
A walk on the beach with the family is one of those simple yet incalculably valuable pleasures of being a father or grandfather. But for Dr. Adam Mahomed, it is a time to reflect on what once was and could have been.
The story of Dr. Adam Mahomed will strike a chord with anyone who's been touched by deep emotional suffering. It's a story that cannot be avoided. What he experienced can happen to anyone. It's also a story that Eastern Mosaic wanted to tell, exactly because it's so difficult to understand how someone can live through and survive such unbearable tragedy and loss. Hello, Adam.
How are you?
Thank you for having us over. Shall we go? Adam, which one of them is this?
This is my eldest daughter, Shamima. She was about 5 years old when we were in London.
This looks like the youngest.
This is the youngest one.
You can see that
yeah,
face.
Yeah, she's the mischievous one.
Oh, that's a gorgeous picture.
Yeah. This we had taken about 6 months before she passed away. We went to India.
Adam, thank you for granting Eastern Mosaic this opportunity to talk to you about what's happened in your life.
It's a great honor that you guys have come down. Thank you very much to Eastern Mosaic.
I'd like us to retrace our steps a bit and go back to that fatal day on the 2nd of March, 1986. Tell us what happened.
Well, we went to visit my mum. I'm originally from Balfour, in Mpumalanga, used to be the old Transvaal. And we were coming, we got on the car, it was about 2 o'clock. After lunch, we had lunch at my dad's place. And I drove up to Standerton, and then I was tired, so I got into the passenger seat. My 3 daughters were at the back. Noorjehaan took over the steering wheel. The tire burst on the back wheel of the car, and Noorjehaan most probably lost control of the car. And the next thing I knew is that I was brought out of the car, and there was an Afrikaner lady. She was a nurse, and she told me, "You've broken your back, so lie still." And I had broken 3 of my vertebrae at the back. So she says, "Don't move." And then, of course, 5 or 10 or 15 minutes later, whatever it was, because I was in a daze, they brought my eldest daughter, Shamima, along, and she put Shamima next to me, and she said in Afrikaans, says, "Weg." I understood that at the time that my daughter has passed away. But I don't think I was in a state of shock. I was totally numb. I couldn't even cry, really, you know. It's just like I was dissociated with myself. Like I was somebody looking down, you know, at these people lying around. Humera and Nadia, they took them through to Standerton Hospital. And we had asked for an ambulance, and the ambulance came up there, and they took Noorjehaan, myself, and my late daughter to Falklands Hospital. And then I was taken to the theatre to sort out, and of course my left arm was hanging from up here, really, you see, by a ligament. And so they took me to theatre, they did my arm, they did my back, and they put me on a brace. And then Noorjehaan had broken her ribs, and they sorted Noorjehaan out. But in that hour and a half, we heard that the other, Humera and Nadia, also passed away.
When did it all sink in that this actually had happened?
When I was taken by stretcher, I saw my 3 daughters lying there, you know, and obviously in the Muslim, this thing, we just put them in calico, we wrapped them in calico, and we put them there. They were lying beside each other. And that's the only time it sunk in, that yes, we've lost 3 daughters.
What kind of emotions did you and your wife experience, and how did you deal with it?
It took a heavy toll on both of us, you know. We were lonely, we were angry, we were numb. It took a great toll on our relationship. Because, you know, we tend to grieve differently. She wanted to talk about the daughters all the time, and I wasn't up to talking because it hurts too much to talk. We went to psychiatrists, we went to psychologists, we went to, we prayed, we did everything we possibly do to try and understand how come this tragedy and how come 3 daughters at one time. One goes, we understand, you know, this happens all the time, but all your children?
Did you perhaps start blaming yourselves or blaming each other?
I blamed myself, and she blamed, I think because she was driving. So she thought she's responsible for the accident.
As the 2 parents gradually worked through their grief and sense of loss, they began to share their experience with others to help those who were walking in a similar path.
Straight road, the girls were talking at the back, you know, they were having their chewing gum.
3 girls?
3 daughters. Shamima, Humaira and Noorjehaan. When I look back now, at that time, there were lots of ifs and whys. If we shouldn't have gone. If the kids were at home, but they were here for that amount of time, but it took me a long time to get where I am today.
How did you and your wife Noorjehaan even begin to move forward?
I was in Johannesburg hospital for 6 weeks because of my back, and then I had a brace from above my hip to below my neck, because, and I think that was good in a way, because I was in bed at home for about 4-5 months. It gave Noorjehaan an opportunity to do something, really, you know. It's like I was like a baby, she could take care of me. I think that, well, it was not good at the time, but retrospective, when I look back, it gave her a purpose in life again.
Adam, share with us some of the memories you have of the girls to help us understand what they were like.
Shamima was very quiet. She acted the elder sister part. She would rather go in a quiet place and read. She helped Noorjehaan in the kitchen, so she was a friend come daughter. With Humaira, she was very quiet, very contemplative. She'd rather go in the garden and sit and, you know, put a little plant here and there. We realized she had lots of talent in drawing. You know, she could do an elephant in 2 minutes, you know. So I think she was nature's person. And Noorjehaan, obviously, you know, the youngest one, you know, she was a clown in the house, and she wanted, but she liked Shamima sort of thing, really, you know, just watching TV.
Adam, one cannot begin to imagine the kind of loss you suffered, but then tragedy struck yet again when you lost your wife, Noorjehaan. Tell us more about that.
Friday night, we had some visitors out here on the 4th of December, 2005. And we finished, we had some visitors, we finished off at about 2 o'clock. Noorjehaan went to bed, both of us. And then next morning I went off to the surgery. Noorjehaan phoned me about 10 o'clock at the surgery. So I said, let me call you back. I have a patient on the chair. And then I phoned about 11 o'clock. And of course, she was engaged. So I thought she's most probably phoning sisters, etc. And of course, I came here, I came through the garage. And I'm shouting, I says, Noori, Noori. We used to call her Noori, you see. And there's no reply. As I walked in there, I found that she was lying here in a prostrate position. You know, normally when we Muslims, when we pray, we go into prostrate position. That's the position she was lying. That was very strange for me. I came up and I had a look, and I shook her and there was nothing. So I felt her pulse and stuff, you know. I put her on the side, I felt the pulse, there was no pulse, I just saw, you know. I knew then, really, I knew that something has happened, most probably a heart attack or something of that sort. I got up, went to call 911, phoned up some friends, and asked them to phone the family. And then I came back and just sat beside her. I was totally numb, I was sort of phased.
How did you respond and deal with this loss? What emotions did you go through?
At that time, I was very suicidal. Okay, daughters, you know. What is this life all about? There's nothing left really, you know, because firstly your daughters are your future, you know, because, you know, you're going to have children, grandchildren. And then, of course, some people don't have children, so, you know, you have your companion, and she was my lifelong companion. I was for a year almost, you know. I didn't know whether I'm coming or going really, you know. Partly I was hallucinating as well. So yeah, it became very lonely, it became, you know, the house became very empty. All the memories that you capture in life is just for you now really, you know, it's not a sharing anymore.
What motivated you both as a couple to start writing, to put pen to paper?
Noorjehaan loved writing. She wrote letters to me, she wrote letters to herself, she wrote letters to her friends. I think this was trying to release the pent-up emotion she had really, you know. Every time she wrote, she had to bring it to the conscious really. It's very cathartic for her. She cried a lot when she wrote. And you cry so much that there are no tears left afterwards.
Dr. Mahomed compiled a collection of his late wife's writings, and together with an essay of his own, they were published under the title Journey into the Unknown. The book represents more than just an anthology, because it's also a memorial.
I think for me, it was a closure of Noorjehaan's wishes, you know, because she had started the book and I thought I have to finish this book as a salutation to her, as a salutation to my daughters.
While the book has been completed and published, the story of Dr. Mahomed's courage in the face of loss remains an unfinished chapter.
As an outsider, it's easy to offer advice like be strong, hang in there, take it one day at a time. But for someone who's experiencing such immense loss and grief, such words have little meaning. Perhaps the best thing to do is to just be there, offering your support.
Proceeds